course, did you also notice the thing you left in the notes? Yeah. Wrong movie. You good? And I'll let you know.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you live from our comfy couch here on the outskirts of the internet. This is the Gaming Saloon Reviews for July 18th, 2021, with your host, Spacebreaker2448 and Rump It Up Salon.
Hello. Awkward silence.
I was looking at something for a second. We have a fun movie to talk about.
Yes.
Like, this is one of those times where I'm like, no, like, you can have fun with the 3-part setup. It just depends on how you do it. Because I know some people don't like the 3-part setup of these movies and much prefer just the everybody's together all the time movies, which I mean, both are good. I've liked movies from both styles.
I feel like even with this, I can understand that, though. Because,
yeah, I could...
truthfully, the drive portion of it kind of feels shoehorned in because of the way they do it.
Yeah.
Whereas they could have done it differently, and it also would have explained a certain thing in the Gaim part of it.
Mm-hmm.
just saying, they did kind of whoops the continuity just a smidge there, but it's not enough to matter.
I also feel like they should be flipped. It should be drive, then Gaim, then crossover.
Except that isn't how the 3-parter setup has been.
Right. Because I feel like that flows better because, like, we'll get into it, but the Gaim portion has Roy, like the blank goon Royd used showed up in it before you get to the drive portion, but the drive portion doesn't have any of the Gaim stuff.
That is actually what I'm kind of talking about there.
Yeah.
Because our main bad guy doesn't have access to anything pertaining to the Roid Meads till the end of the drive section, which immediately ties into the crossover portion of it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those that it feels like that one thing is out of place. And I don't really know if there's a good way of fixing that.
It's called don't have Roid Meads, just have invest, and because it changes nothing.
I mean, I get what they were wanting to do. They were wanting that to be the setup to, oh, you've seen Drive, so you probably will know this enemy, so yeah, this still is going to have a crossover. Even though you should know that going into the movie. It's one of those, I don't feel like the movie needs to give that hint when you should know that going into the movie, seeing as how the title of the movie has both writers.
Yeah, it felt like you could just have Invest there instead of the Roid Meads, and it doesn't change anything truly about the scene. It just changes 2 lines of Michi's dialogue.
That actually could just be wrote out.
True.
Because, I mean, all we got was a short little fight sequence, and by short, I mean literally, what, maybe 30 seconds? And we kept moving?
long enough to say that we use the requisite Kiwi arms we need to use for Ryugen and move on.
So
Because it's the only time he uses Kiwi arms in the whole movie.
So, yeah, we could have just went around that.
Look, you can tell with some writers when it just becomes a case of, God, we need to give you something else because the other thing you have just sucks. Like, Ryugen is, and like, I know from the novel he gets an upgrade, but he is desperately in need of something that isn't just Kiwi arms to swap around to.
Yeah, he kind of desperately needs something that isn't Kiwi arms or is planning on killing him.
Which is why on my Soto shelf he has Jimba arms, because he technically gets Jimba dragon fruits in the novel. And I believe in SIC, so that counts. It counts enough in my book to have him in Jimba arms.
I mean, fair.
Because who the fuck else is going to use Jimba arms? Besides Knuckle. Once in his V cinema.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like the problems that come from the three-part setup aren't really so much the three-part setup, it's the fact that we're not thinking about the crossover when developing the two solo portion villains.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, this one's that glowing example of it. We have the main villain for the Gaim portion. We have the main villain for the drive portion. The main villain for the drive portion no longer exists by the time we get to the crossover, but the Gaim one still does.
Right, because he's the bigger threat.
So I feel like the right solution would have been, we could have still took the same concepts here, made one change, and that could have actually tied both portions together.
Yeah.
Like, why did we have to have... Why did we have to have the whole fact that, I'm just gonna say it, because I feel like we've talked about this one at one point, so spoiler / not spoiler, question mark?
Yeah.
Why do we have to wait till Lupin's gone to proceed into the crossover? What if Lupin intentionally joined them?
I mean, fair.
We could have had that, and that would have been the same kind of a tie-in. Nothing would have had to have changed on the crossover portion, and it would have made more sense.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of the few that actually one small change like that could have made this make a lot more sense with the three-part.
And it would also give everyone else someone important to fight, because they're just fighting goons and that's it. And we honestly don't cut back to them once Tamari and Kota leave.
I mean, yeah, it's one of those, it's funny, I see the argument about would rather not have the three-parter, because, yeah, I mean, that issue still exists in this movie. But at the same time, I'm kind of with you, like, yeah, the three-parter's not the problem. It's the fact that we're not thinking all the way through.
And it probably doesn't help that, at least for the last two that we've talked about, and I want to say a couple more, there's multiple writers on these. And it's usually a case of the writer for the last show gets to write their own thing, and then the writer for the new show, or a writer for the new show, gets to write their portion and the crossover portion. So just normally one of these is going to have more, like the newer show is going to have more connectivity to the crossover portion than the older show, because the older show is kind of being written in a bubble.
But what's weird is that's actually the inverse on this one.
Yeah.
Because, no joke, the crossover portion, the Gaim cast feels more at home in. It feels like Tamari's kind of the odd man out here.
Which is hilarious because the Drive's writer is the one writing the crossover portion this time. Man, let me get this introduction out of the way before we go too much deeper in, because we are watching. Let me pull up the dashboard thing so I get the full title of this: Kamen Rider X Kamen Rider Drive-In Gaim Movie War Full Throttle, or as I'm going to refer from here on out, Furit Throttle, because it should have been the pun.
Or as I also cleverly added in there on the splash card for the intro there. Because I knew you would, so I was like, you know what? Yep, we'll embrace it.
Mm-hmm. But this was released December 13th, 2014. Its writers are Jin Haganya for Gaim, who I have listed as a secondary writer for Gaim, which is partially accurate. There's a little bit more to it. Let me pull up his page real quick, because he was actually like kind of co-wrote some of the episodes of Gaim with Urobuchi. Specifically 26 or 25, 26, 28, 38, 41, and 42. He also wrote 47, which is the final episode of Gaim. That was his episode written, but Urobuchi supervised him. And he wrote 37 with Nobuhiro Mori, who is the other secondary writer of Gaim. And he's also the writer on the soccer movie, this portion of Furit Throttle. He also wrote the Gaim novel, but was still supervised by Gen Urobuchi, and he wrote it with Gun Snark. That's a name.
Yeah.
That's a real name. And then he co-wrote the Zangetsu stage show with Nobuhiro Mori. So more or less, he's a versed Gaim writer. But for our drive portion and the crossover portion, it is Riku Sanjo. He is the main writer of both Double and Drive and a lot of other stuff. Let me pull some highlights from his page real quick. Or not, because he doesn't have that much just directly on the page. He was also the secondary writer on Fourze in Kyoryuger. And he was Sweets Man in the Eternal movie. The Dopant from the beginning of the movie that Double take out before we do the whole extended flashback with Eternal that is the entire movie. And lastly, the director on this is Takayuki Shibasuke, who, much like last week's director, he's directed a lot of writer. And I will do the bit again, because he has directed 2 episodes of Kabuto, 2 episodes of Den-O, 6 episodes of Decade, 6 episodes of Double, 10 episodes of O's, 4 episodes of Fourze, 2 episodes of Wizard, 9 episodes of Gaim, 7 episodes of Drive, 2 episodes of Ghost, 8 episodes of Build, 9 episodes of Geo, 8 episodes of 01, and currently, as of this week, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes of Saber. He also directed the End movie of the Chodeno trilogy, O's Wonderful, Kamen Rider Tyson, Kamen Rider Sango, Surprise Future, the Saber movie we'll be watching in a few weeks, and a ton of web series and Hyper Battle DVD stuff. So he's been around the place.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, and lastly, for those watching stuff in order, continuity-wise, we are post the Gaim finale, but before any of the post Gaim stuff in terms of the B cinemas. So, like not the Sengetsu one, like the Knuckle one. I don't remember which all Gaim guidance are like post series, to be honest. And we're also before the final stage show for Gaim, because that's technically canon. Because Maja. But for Drive, much like last week, we are between episodes 9 and 10. So we are very, 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 very early into Drive's run.
Yeah. Like, if I'm not mistaken, right after Technique's debut kind of deal?
I believe so.
So, yeah.
Literally, Technique's debut is episode 9.
Yeah.
And episode 10 is where we get all of Buckle's past as Krim Steinbelt.
Which actually, now that you mention that, makes a lot of sense about certain things that we get in the movie.
Oh, why did it feels like this is the first time we're finding out about it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's because this is technically the first time we're supposed to find out about it. Although I think they pretty much restate everything in the movie in episode 10.
They do.
Because I didn't think we got anything new with Krim's backstory from what we're getting in this movie until Bono shows up. And then it's like, oh yeah, Bono was my coworker. He was a shithead of the hugest of calipers. Maybe don't trust him.
I'm thinking the only thing new that you only get from the movie kind of deal is the stuff pertaining to the movie. Because none of that actually gets referenced.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, that is where we are in the shows. So, I guess... Did I give a spoiler warning last week? I think I did.
I don't remember.
Well, spoiler warnings for, like, all of Gaim, I guess. Because, like, we gotta talk about this movie. We gotta talk about spoilers for Gaim. That's kind of the point.
Yes and no.
We have to talk about the relevant spoilers for Gaim.
Oddly enough, though, it's not as much as what it probably should be.
I mean, we have to address the fact that 2 people were killed and come back for this movie, so...
Yes. But, I mean, I think the context of the movie can make everyone understand why one of them's dead.
Right.
It's the other one that's...
Yeah, we don't get into how Kaito died because, yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably for the best.
But any thoughts before we get into the movie proper?
No.
All right, then we kick off, and not Kai. I combine their names for some reason. Kota and Mai's new homeworld, where they have trapped the the Helheim Forest, I guess, from the end of the series.
And where they can be space gods and goddesses.
Yeah.
I caught the line and I'm like, I forgot that was there.
Here's the thing, they keep that going because when we get to when we got to Heisei Generation, the first Heisei Generations, Tamari still calls him Kami-san. He still calls him God. Like, he is forever just the God. He's just the God. And Tamari just fully accepts this forever.
He is free Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the world looks weird because it's an orb, but it's not like it's normal planet. There's like different, like, just floating islands inside this orb that is, I guess, the atmosphere of this, and then there's like waterfalls kind of connecting all the different islands. Which I guess, because as we find out in this movie, Kota could just fly now. I guess it doesn't need to all connect together by land. Which gets to questions with Mai, but we'll get to those later. Because I have questions about Mai.
Oh, this whole movie is questions pertaining to her, so yeah. So, it's a peaceful world. There's animals and stuff. And Kota's being happy, I guess. Until a spaceship crash lands and starts assimilating the planet. And Mai, because she's immediately kidnapped because... She has to be kidnapped.
Yeah.
We can't ever let her do anything.
Yeah, we'll get to there. I've got words. About her and another character.
I'm just saying. I'm throwing that out there because you and me both know that's a problem.
Yes. especially for the other character we're going to have a conversation about.
Mm-hmm.
So this alien that we see attacks Kota, who transforms in the Kiwami arms just by summoning his belt, which he can just do now. Bear in mind, Kota and Mai are overlords, so they have, I assume, all the relevant abilities of an overlord, as we see in Kota's case at least. Mai, all we get is her usual not necessarily time travel, I guess, in this case, but I'm talking to you, and I'm at least not spouting nonsense this time.
I guess technically astral projection kind of concept.
And like, hey, I got you a fruit to do a thing. Don't waste it, please. But the alien learns Japanese from Kota. That way he can talk instead of talking in alien speak.
That we can't translate.
Right. But it wants to assimilate the planet because this is technically a species that survived the Helheim invasion.
As we find out, like, most of the way through the Gaim portion of this.
Yeah. And they survived it by becoming Legion and becoming essentially the Borg from Star Trek. That's pretty much it. They are Legion, they are Borg. That's all you need to know. But Kota goes Kiwami, he flies around, he can shoot energy bolts that are rainbow colored because that's a thing he can do now.
Yeah, don't question him.
Yeah. But Mega Hex easily thwarts him and then eventually downloads Gaim the series. Essentially. Because we just see different, like, footage of different people transforming. I don't know if we see, like, specific events from the series, because that's all I was drawn to was the different transformations. Even the ones that
not
Kota
pay attention enough.
Well, I think we see Michi Kaito in Ryoma actually transforming, but the weird thing is the Ryoma transformation is something Kota did not witness. Because it was when he transformed in front of Takatora and then kicked his ass and then left him stranded in the Helheim forest. Which, Kota, you didn't see that one. I don't know why that's in your memories, but fucking whatever, I don't care.
Because it happened in the forest. That's the logic behind it, I guess.
Yeah. So this makes him find out about Earth, and he decides, I'm gonna assimilate Earth. So after he's done assimilating their world, he's like, I'm going off to Earth, and the big portal that actually has the crack, like in a hexagon pattern on like the outside of it, to Earth. Then Kota follows as we get title card, and when we come back, we cut to Zawami City, I guess just a little bit before this fight happens. Because we see Orin, Janochi, and Zack at Droopers. Orin is trying out some new concoctions there, including a dragon fruits. That's foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm. Big time.
They're catching up. We find out that Michi's like back to doing schoolwork, and he's going to work with Takatora, who is in charge of restoring Zawami City to what it was before Yggdrasil showed up, bulldozed a big part of the city, and built their big stupid tower that was a nuke. Because Yggdrasil Tower doesn't exist anymore. We don't see it for the whole movie. So they demolish that thing at some point after the finale. We also don't know how long afterward the finale. That's something to note.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but yeah. They actually don't mention that.
Yep. But as we're checking in with Takatora, we see a spirit bomb come flying through a portal with Kota trying to block it.
Quite literally. That is not an exaggeration.
Yes, just fully up against it, like, I'm gonna slow it down. I'm gonna do a thing. No, the spirit bomb drops on him, drops on the city, causes a big explosion. Kota doesn't drop out of his transformation for this, mind you. Big spirit bomb doesn't break his transformation. I guess because God status, more or less.
Yes.
But as Takatora sees this, he drives off to where this happened. We check in with Kota. He continues to fight Mega Hex, eventually gets the better of him, and Ryder kicks him. And he's like, yay, I beat him. And then another Mega Hex shows up and is like, nope. Then starts attacking him again. Because, again, it takes the entire movie for us to get to this, but... Oh no, it takes the entire Gaim portion for us to get to this, but it's like, there's multiple copies of him. Because he's just a computer. He's just a big planet computer.
I also love the fact that no one thinks about this until it's actually exposed. It's like, yep. That would make sense there.
Yeah, but as Takatora arrives, the two of them are fighting in the air, and Mega Hex just impales Kota, sends him falling to the ground, blasts him to break. This drops him out of his rider form, leaving him in his spray-painted Kurakage armor overlord form, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. And then he blasts them, turning him back human. Or, I guess, breaking his god form, because that's technically a rider form, or another form. I don't know. All I know is he goes human.
I don't know on that. Because, yeah.
All I know is he's in regular clothes and then goes kaboom. Like, kaboom, kaboom. So, everyone saw Kota die in the middle of the air. That's not good. But Takatora tries to get answers out of Mega Hex. He just rambles about assimilating and stuff and starts assimilating part of the Zawami City right there. And he flies off, where he runs into Michi nearby, who's just like, fucking fight me. And he's like, okay, fight these Kurakage troopers. I just summoned out of thin air. Which, funny enough, there is a long conversation about Kurakage troopers involving these two troopers, because apparently they have 3 Kurakage trooper suits. But in this movie, we only see 2 of them. So there was a question of, wait, where did the third one go? And what happened to it?
I mean, wouldn't the third one be Kota's?
Probably. I would assume that's where the third one went.
I mean, that's what I would think, anyhow.
Mm-hmm. But Michi fights the Kurokage troopers as Ryugen, beats them fairly easily, so Mecha Hex is like, let me get you something stronger. And then summons Ryoma with his big, dumb, stupid robot mask. And his fancy new Genesis driver. And fancy new energy lock seed that is dragon fruits. That gives him the dragon fruit armor. That will then be used later by a different writer in a V Cinema. Because budget.
I mean, you can't expect them to have multiple different forms for different riders, can you? I mean...
Yeah. But yeah, Ryoma just kicks Michi's ass. So Michi takes the opportunity after he gets blown to the ground to just go, well, gonna create a smoke screen. I'm gonna steal one of these extra Sagoku drivers from off the Kurokage troopers and just fucking run. So he does. So we cut to Team Gaim's old hideout. Takatora is patching up Michi as the rest of the remaining riders, which are Orin, Jodochi, and Zack. Because, by the way, they're the only ones left in this series at this point. It's just the 5 of them on Earth. Because everyone else is either dead. Well, actually, in this case, everyone else is dead.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't even think about that till you just were like, wait a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it would be, normally it'd be dead or fucked off to another planet. But now it's currently dead.
Or dead question mark?
Yeah.
As we find out later, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, they are out of options because they don't have any more drivers. Because they scrapped them all and they can't make more because they don't have the equipment. They scrapped all the lock seeds, which was a stupid decision.
Well, I mean, if you have no more drivers, then you don't need the lock seeds anymore, right?
It's one of those instances where no one was genre savvy and went, what if something shows back up and Coach is not around to help? Maybe we should have our gear, just in case.
Nah, Michi's got it. He's got a belt still.
He's got a belt and 2 lock seeds, one of which is practically useless, and an energy lock seed he can't use because he doesn't have a Genesis core.
I mean, it'll be fine, right?
No. So
something totally won't come that'll beat. Oh wait, never mind.
Yeah. So yeah, they figure we're rightly fucked. So that's when my phone calls Michi while he's asleep, like, hey, you need to blow up the tower even if I'm in it. Here's a fruit. Don't fuck up. Bye. So that's when Michi wakes up, sees that the fruit's there, gives Takatora, rightfully so, the extra driver. And then Takatora gets the fruit, gets his melon energy, or melon lock seed. So he's back to being Zengetsu now.
And we now have another rider and a honestly better fighter.
Yes, because let's be honest. Zack, no. Jonochi, no. Orin, maybe.
Maybe.
It's honestly a tie between Orin and Takatora of who he should have given it to, and to be honest, should have just given it to Takatora.
Yep.
But the next day they head out, but they are intercepted by Ryoma. He fights them. Takatora decides to take Ryoma solo, while Michi goes ahead to try to save Mai, because
Of course he's gonna try to save Mai.
Okay, I heard this in the Soda Pops, in one of Soda Pop's streams, was just like, of one of them not liking Michi's face turn, more or less, because more or less he just didn't earn it. And because of some tendencies of him from early in the series, it doesn't seem like he'll stay on that path. But I don't know. I'm okay with Michi in his face turn because at least he's always trying. For as much as he fucked up in the series, at least he's trying.
I'm fine with that. To anyone that's arguing that, I'm in the camp of I see the point.
Yeah.
But then I also have to say, do you accept Guy's redemption that he got? Because it was far less.
Yeah. It was way less than this. Like,
if you accept Guy's, then you kind of got to give Michi a chance here.
Yeah. We have given chances to some other people that honestly don't fucking deserve it. So I'm willing to let Michi have a pass because, yeah, he fucked up. But, like, when no one else can...
knows he screwed up.
Yeah. I think the problem is that Michi's redemption arc doesn't exist in the show and can only exist in post-series material.
I think it's that combined with the fact that it does kind of feel like it was just handed to him.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really feel like it was earned.
Yeah.
And that kind of an argument I can agree with. It does feel like it was handed to him more so than earned.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's because of how late in the show it happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the same argument I have as far as Guy's face turn because of the fact of we did lose episodes. I feel like that probably would have helped build into that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's one of those, I don't really fault the character, just the fact that the show didn't really have a good way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
We ran out of... literally ran out of time.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, back in the not the episode, the movie.
I mean,
Takatora's having...
you're not wrong on that either.
Yeah. But Takatora's fighting Ryoma. Having a rough time of it because it's Sengoku driver versus Genesis driver. We've established in the series that the Genesis driver is the superior one-ish.
Unless Takatora has it.
Right, because look, I'm going to reference the episode where Takatora fought Michi, and it was the two Sengetsus, and Takatora literally could have beat Michi, but only hesitated because he didn't want to really kill his brother.
I also kind of feel like Takatora's line here was a callback to that.
Mm-hmm. Because just to say it, your big fancy numbers are bullshit.
It's big time.
Yeah. I get weirdly just about people when people bring up the big stupid numbers that are attached to writer forms and stuff, because those are never never said or mentioned in the show ever. And they're just nonsense because that's not what matters for a fictional fight at all.
Nope.
If these were real people, yes.
It boils
but they're not real people.
Purely to how it's written.
Yeah. Anywho, while Takatoura is fighting, Michi gets to where the spaceship is and is assaulted by blank roid nudes because drive stuff. We'll get to it later, I guess.
No, we won't. I wouldn't even try to lie on that one, no.
Yeah.
We will not get to that because that is just a random plot hole there.
Uh-huh. He fights through them, makes it through with Kiwi, drives off, drives through them. We come back to Takatora and Ryoma as they duel one last time. They trade one last shots, and Takatora ends up winning because he just stabs Ryoma in the chest. And it's like, well, go back to hell, you son of a bitch. And he does. And he leaves his Genesis driver, and presumably the lock seat as well, I guess. I don't know. I don't think we see the lock seat in the pilot components.
I actually don't think it shows it either.
Yep. But we come back to Michi. He's made it inside the ship, but is getting assaulted by its defenses. He breaks through, breaks the water tank Mai's been floating in since the movie started, and gets her out. Unfortunately for Takatora, who we cut back to, he's being attacked by Mega Hex and gets knocked out of his rider form. And that's when Mai and Michi show up. Michi's like, wait, I have the lock seed. I'm gonna click it open and throw it at you. Which Takatora sees, takes the Genesis driver, and catches the lock seed on the Genesis driver, then puts it on so that he gets like the pre-armor rider suit to block the sword strike from Mega Hex, then transform into Shinsengetsu, which is probably the best transformation in any of these movies ever.
I'm glad you said in any of the movies.
Yeah.
Because I think the only other one that it actually might tie with is Kaito's literally ripping one belt off and changing to a different form.
Yep, that too. Kaito's like, wait, I need this belt to stay in my rider form? Fuck that. I'm changing belts real quick.
Gaim just has really good transformations, just saying.
Yep. So now the two of them fight, while Mai is standing off camera for the rest of this fight so far.
Mm-hmm.
Because she is currently human, I guess, so she doesn't have any fancy abilities.
Yeah,
so the two
keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because it stupidly has a thing here in just a little bit that I'm like,
But at this point, Takatora and Michi pretty much pull a gambit where Takatora holds Mega Hex in a full Nelson while Michi shoots him so they can break open the hatch in front of in his chest because he absorbed the Kiwami lock seed by just shoving it in him.
Because that's how you do that, right?
I mean, he made a port and everything for it, so I guess that works.
I mean, does it?
I mean, according to him, yes, so meh. But this pulls through because even though it knocks Takatora out of his rider form, he gets the Kiwami lock seed, which pisses off Mega Hex, so he decides to shoot him, which Michi blocks, also knocking him out of his rider form. So this is when Mai shows up and is standing and just goes near the three of them as they all are about to be obliterated by Mega Hex's fucking energy beam or something that he's charging up. So they all touch the Kiwami lock seed, it opens, and it revives Kota at a big fiery explosion that he walks through because Kota just want to be extra, I guess.
Oh, and don't forget, this is also the point where it somehow reawakens Mai. Don't ask.
Even though the only reason she got depowered to start with was because she got assimilated.
Yep.
So technically, by the time she broke out of that water tank, she should have been fine.
Yep. Let that one soak in.
But yeah, Mai's back to her regular goddess form. She kind of just steps off to the side because her three riders transform. They fight Mega Hex, triple rider kick. They blow him up. And then a bunch of copies of Mega Hex show up to be like, we are Legion. We're gonna go get a power up real quick. See you in 30 minutes. Bye. And that's the end of the Gaim portion.
I feel like there's just a few questionable things that I'm like, did we have to do it that way?
Yeah. Shall we just talk about them now?
I mean, I feel like we partially have already, too.
Yeah. I'm going to save the conversation about Maya and Kiriko for the end, to be honest. I'm just going to save it for the end.
Fair. The only thing I wanted to point out was that stupidity that we had.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, she should have already had her powers back before now.
Yeah.
That we still actually don't have a clear definition of what those powers are.
We know she can time travel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which I'm guessing is only to explain why the fuck she showed up all season.
I kind of feel like that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that, the other thing we were mentioning about the random Roid Mute encounter there.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I didn't really have any problems with it. It's just,
yeah,
there is those questionable, why did we do that? What was the thought process for that?
Mm-hmm. But shall we hit the drive portion?
I guess we shall.
All right. So we rewind time to, I guess, like 2 days ago. Or something. I guess like 2 days ago or so.
I guess.
Tamari and Kiriko are in the Trideron, in a CG Trideron, mind you, because, by the way, the only time the Trideron you see it physically drive is when it's on a actual Toei studio lot, I think. Or they got permission one time to do a driving scene on a real road. So, there's a reason there's a lot of CG vehicles driving on roads in this movie. But they're driving off to the scene, or the upcoming scene of a crime, because Lupin, the Phantom Thief, is here, calling himself Ultimate Lupin, and he's going to steal a thing. I don't remember what they said the thing was. Did they say what the thing was?
I don't remember, actually.
He's stealing a thing, that's the important part. So, they're driving there. We check in with Ginparchiro, as he's already on site with a bunch of police officers when they get hit by the slowdown wave. And Lupin just walks through them and all their bullets and steals his thing before leaving, which Tamari and Kiriko intercept him, and Tamari turns in the drive and fights him. Because, as we find out, this Lupin is a Roid Mute. Which, during the fight, Buckle, as I used to call him in reviews, I know it's Mr. Belt in, like, I think every single sub. Because this was before we knew him as Crimstein Belt.
Yeah.
But I refuse to not call him Buckle. So he is Buckle. Forever. But he notices something about the Roid Mute as they're fighting, which the Roid Mute gets away, reveals his face as someone will be introduced to here in a little bit, and challenges Drive to catch him before flying away in his helicopter. But the next day, the chief of the squad that Tamari is a part of informs the team that if we don't catch Lupin, we're all fucking canned. We need to catch this guy. And I love that not only does the guy in charge of them is Shinichiro Shirakura cameoing as the police chief. Because by the way, it is that one producer. Because I looked at that and went, is that fucking Shirakura? And when I was double checking stuff, yeah, that's Shirakura. Not only that, but Kiriko imagines this as them all being taken to a quarry with their office set up and then being blown up.
I mean, not just taken to a quarry, the quarry.
Yes.
Anyone that's seen Enough Rider will know. Yes, that is the quarry.
Which I feel like is accurate, because I'm like, no, Shirakura would fire them with explosions. But this is when the team finds out that this Lupin guy is Zork Tojo, who apparently back in the day was suspected to be Lupin. So we're introducing the idea that, you know, he might be Lupin, he might not be Lupin. In reality, it doesn't fucking matter. I don't know what it is with Japan in needing a Lupin or a Phantom Thief in general in a cop toku show. Because I feel like they all have a Lupin equivalent.
I never thought about that, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. But as we find this out, Tamari and Buckle aren't in the office. The two of them are outside discussing the case, with Buckle not having a good feeling about this case because his feeling about what this roid mute is. When they get hit by a slowdown wave, that then disperses, and Kiriko runs up to them and is like, there's trouble. As we find out, Lupin left the calling card saying, I'm gonna steal a thing, try and stop me. But luckily, they have their new secret weapon, the Blinky Gizmo Mark II. I forgot they called the gadgets dumb things in this series. I'm not gonna lie, everything about this movie made me go, fuck, there's so much about Drive that I like. I miss this show. But this cobbled together pile of trash that serves as a backpack can let someone, like, go through the density shift. Because, if I recall correctly, at this point, nobody on the team knows that Tamari is Drive.
Reina is the only one. At this point.
Kiriko. Besides Kiriko.
Yeah. I didn't even count Kiriko because, literally the first episode she knows. So, it's like, meh.
She's the one that recruits Tamari and slaps the belt on his stupid face. So, yeah. Because, for some reason, she can't be Drive. For reasons we never explained, because...
Why should
we didn't... Exactly. Like, a thing in this movie is why Tamari was chosen as Drive, and I'm like, everything you're saying is exactly what Kiriko is, so why couldn't she become Drive?
Because
Yeah, that's the answer. Just because, which is stupid. Anyway. Genpachiro takes the backpack for himself, and that's when we cut to Heart, Brain, and Chase, the three main roid mutes in charge, as they find out about this whole roid mute situation, and Chase is like, I'm gonna blow him up because fuck that asshole. And Heart and Brain are like, okay, sure. And on Brain's tablet, like, not only is there an article about the Lupin cases and stuff, but when he scrolls down, there's a thing about strange happenings in Zawame, which I guess Yggdrasil covered up all the shit that happened in Zawame City, I guess?
That, or I thought it was alluding to the crossover part, but you're right. This would be too far ahead.
Right, and it says happenings, plural, in Zawame City.
I mean, to be fair, that could be translation error.
Fair, but I'm also like, I'm pretty sure if they saw a spaceship land in the middle of Zawame City, that'd be bigger news than strange happenings in Zawame City.
I mean, you gotta think about it. And I mean, technically, it could be the same thing. We had a person randomly combust in there, followed by a spaceship landing.
True. I mean, also the thing I love that everyone keeps bringing up is, all right, America got nuked in Gaim, didn't it?
All right.
Everyone forgets that part. And I'm like, I think everyone just ignores that because it's like, no, America didn't actually get nuked.
I kind of find it funnier if that actually was a thing.
Yeah. Which, like, it makes Harley just incredibly strange if it's like, wait, where the fuck did you come from if America's nuked?
Yep.
But anyway, the next day, the police are escorting the thing Lupin's after. They even have a decoy. Tamari's in the Trideron solo. Kiriko is vaguely in the back, calling in from radio because nobody is with her, I guess, for the purposes of this movie that we'll get to later.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a slowdown occurs. Tamari stops to investigate it, but the truck drives right past him, which both him and Buckle go, shit, he's in the truck. Fuck, he was the driver. So they give chase. Cue chasing, where they have to deal with civilians getting caught, getting almost squished by Lupin, and also having to dodge debris and stuff. Until eventually, we see Genpachiro try to like get Lupin to turn to like just pull the car over by pointing a gun at him because that'll work.
Yeah, that won't backfire at all.
But Lupin just pushes a button that blows up the Blinky Gizmo Mark II, so Genpachiro is now stuck in the slowdown, which now Tamari has to save him from dying, which technically, as proven in the series, he's fine as long as he is near the ground when the slowdown stops.
Yep.
But I guess we have to make sure he's near the ground first and, you know, not going to go smattering across the ground from...
Actually, was it already at this point? Like, was it before or after Technique's debut?
I don't remember, but I know it involves Genpachiro because he gets thrown over a railing on top of this, like, in like this oil factory place.
Yeah.
And then we see him slowly fall down. And when the density shift finally stops, he's already on the ground and he's just like safe. So like technically your momentum is not preserved during a slowdown.
I don't remember if that was when we only had Type Wild or if that was after all three were introduced. If that was after all three were introduced, then technically, continuity-wise, this would be prior to that.
Yeah. It feels like an early episode, so it's somewhere in there.
I'm rewatching Drive anyhow, so I'll find out. Cause yeah, I just happened to think about that. I can't remember if that's before or after we get the hand-drawn picture of Type Speed Wild Technique.
It's gonna make me do my phase 2 rewatch, aren't you? Because I'm like, I need to know. If I do this, I want to start at Wizard because that's where we left off and go through.
I mean, fair.
Yeah. Thought for another day. Anyway, Lupin stops the chase because he drops a car on top of another car, and this blocks Tamari, even though he could just go around because there's another lane. He could just go into oncoming traffic that currently is in slowdown, so he kind of can drive around them, but shh. But that's when Buckle spots a castle off in the distance, and that Lupin's driving towards it, and he's like, ah shit, we gotta get there now. So he just commands the Trider on the go type wild and just blows through the cars. Because it's like, ah, fuck, he got a thing. Damn it. Fucked up again. So at the castle, we find out from not just Buckle, but also Lupin, who comes in, that prior to Krim Steinbeld's death at the hand of the Roidmutes on the Global Freeze Day, he created a Roidmute body to transfer his consciousness into in the event that he was murdered. This was Roidmute ZZZ, or Triple Z, or Z's. But Krim couldn't handle the body, so he just sealed it up in a box in this castle and just left it there, assuming nobody would take it. But that is when Lupin, this Zoxtoja guy, who at this point should be an old man because the photo we got of him from earlier is like 40 years old or so. Which, that is a very nice picture for being an old picture, supposedly.
Yeah.
But that's when he found the body, transferred his consciousness into the body, and thus was young again. So now I can do my robbing again, because when he did this, he found out about the Kamen Riders, or Kamen Rider in this case, because he only references Drive, and went, "You're terrible at your job. I'm going to take your title." So he fights Tamari for a bit until Chase arrives with a few Roidmutes, and it's just like, "We're here to kill you because you're using Roidmute tech." And that's when Lupin's like, I figured you'd come. I copied your tech too, so now I'm Kamen Rider Lupin. Which, this is such a gorgeous suit. I love the Kamen Rider Lupin suit. I am sad that there is not a figure of this at the moment. I'm going to be incredibly sad if Shoto ever gets Drive and never does this suit. Because this is too good of a suit to never have a figure of.
I mean, fair.
So, now Kamen Rider Lupin easily dispatches the extra Roidmutes. Chase fights him because he's also upset about Chase because he's like, you're terrible at your job too. I'm gonna fuck you up too.
Which,
so he fights Chase.
To be fair, he's not wrong.
Yeah. Chase isn't all there at the moment. But he fights Chase, pretty much demolishes him. Tamari goes to fight him. Buckle's like, maybe don't. Maybe we should back off and rethink our plan. And then Lupin's like, fight me, you cowards. So they both decide to fight him anyway. But Lupin demolishes them, breaks their transformation, and then he's like, I don't want to kill you. But you'll probably be a problem later, so I'm not gonna kill you. So he tries to shoot Tamari, which Buckle intercepts, like breaking the driver and putting Buckle offline. Because he's not fully dead, as we see kind of from a scene later. But I also find it funny, because this is the exact plot of Surprise Future after a while.
Yep.
And technically, this is also the thing of Drive's other like post-show movie appearances of, I don't have Krim. Krim, can you come in at the last second so I can transform again? Because as much as they want to preserve I'm locking up all my stuff because humanity is not ready for my technology, bye. We still need you to show back up so you can do stuff. Which just feels like one of those situations of, you should just be here. Like, it's not like your tech's going to be truly stolen if it's just your stuff. And also, it's not like Go's going to actually try to replicate your technology for reasons that we'll talk about later because of a scene. because that's exactly what he's doing post-series. So, honestly, Krim, there's no point of you sticking yourself in a fucking vault with all the other shift cars and stuff. Literally no point. Literally none.
Yeah, at all.
Yeah. But at this point, Lupin leaves, and Tamari is all broken up about Buckle being just down. This is when we cut to the drive pit. Kiriko and Rina are there. Rina's kind of at a loss of how to repair the drive driver, because, like, this is more than I've ever been told to do in this job, so, eh. And Kiriko is just like, Tamari, you should rest, and smiles at him, and then leaves. Which,
well,
Tamari is still broken up, but that's when he pieces together what's happening, and then he's just like, I'm gonna catch me a Lupin, and then leaves. Only for the lights to go down, and fucking Go shows up as Mach, just flipping all over the place for some reason.
By the way, talking about how Rena's at a loss of how to fix Buckle.
Yeah.
That actually, I feel like, is probably foreshadowing the thing later, where she actually had to take quite a bit of time to read or to build another mock driver.
Yeah.
It's a case of, I think that part of the tech stuff she never has had any access to.
Mm-hmm. Probably because Grim didn't give her access to it.
Also, the other thing, you were saying about it's kind of pointless him locking himself up. It's completely pointless. Because in theory, couldn't Harley just make another one?
Yeah. Also, we technically know from Surprise Future that Tamari's kid will become a rider and wield the drive driver that just doesn't have him in it. So, at some point in honestly, the not too distant future, somebody's just gonna make another one without you installed in it. And they're just gonna give it to Tamari's kid.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Which
kind of now makes me wonder if canonically that means that Go made another one.
Okay, here's the thing. Here's like my headcanon for New Drive. Not only, and that is just, Chase taught him how to fight. Because guess what his weapon is?
What?
His weapon's the brake gunner. With like, it's a brake gunner with a blade on it, mind you, but it's still a brake gunner and it functions just like a brake gunner. Which makes me think, oh, Chase taught you how to fight.
I could see that.
Because who would teach him to fight with a brake gunner? And also, why would his primary weapon be a brake gunner if it's not Chase the one that taught him?
True.
Because you have to think at that point, Kiriko or like Tamari and Kiriko are older. They can probably still fight. Like Go's also older, but like Chase, like who best to mentor him than someone that can like fully keep up with him, regardless of age. And also in the event of something happening to someone, he's still there. But anyway, back to the movie. Says he pushes them together and Go does the extra thing and like touches the drive driver. And we see the light kind of come on. So like Buckle's not fully offline. He's just down for self-repairs, I guess. I guess the next day, because I guess it's supposed to be night, the squad, like the team, are in the office when another card comes in with Lupin, now calling himself Kamen Rider Lupin's like, I'm gonna blow up a building. Try and stop me. And everyone's panicked about it until Tamari calls Ginpachiro and is just like, by the way, I got Lupin. Y'all need to come to the castle. And he's like, Tamari says he's got Lupin cornered and is going to arrest him, and we need to show up there, so let's go. Everybody pack up. So everyone heads to the castle, and they all go into this, like, I guess, church technically in there? Because it looks like a church.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a church.
But they all walk in. Tamari closes the doors behind them. And he's just like, well, this room's sealed. So I figured out that in order for him to disable the Blinky Gizmo like he did, considering it was revealed the day of we did all this, he needed to know about its existence. And only us knew about its existence. And because this roid mute can shapeshift, it's one of us because he kidnapped that person when he dropped off the first calling card. And everyone, of course, has the reaction of like, what are you talking about? It can't be me. And then he points directly to Kiriko because, oh, you smiled at me when you told me to, like, get some rest. Kiriko doesn't act that way.
Which is not wrong.
Right. And then Lupin as Kiriko tries to play this off, but then Tamari's like, fucking drop the act. And he's just like, okay, fine. I kidnapped your partner and replaced her. I think we also find out that the Roid Mute Z corrupts you, I think, at this point. I think I missed the dialogue in this scene about it, which is why Krim didn't want to use it to start with.
I feel like it's strongly implied. I don't think it's ever explicitly said, though.
Yeah. But essentially, Lupin transforms, escapes on his hot air balloon with very rickety-looking platform because Lupin doesn't have the budget for a proper hot air balloon. And then he gives Tamari a choice. You can stop me blowing up the building, or you can go save Kiriko that I have dangling from a spider web on this building on the other side of town. Have fun. I'm leaving. So he leaves. Tamari gives chase to Lupin and actually is on the hot air balloon with him eventually. And he's like, no, I'm going to save Kiriko and stop you at the same time because fuck you. But he just gets battered by Lupin, thrown off the hot air balloon. At the same time, Kiriko's web breaks, so she's falling down the side of the building. And at this point, Tamari's like, I'm not giving up. And then all the shift cars show up, start pulsing in a ring around him, like to the tune of the drive drivers, like standby. And Tamari takes the speed shift car, slams it in, transforms just before he hits, or just as he hits this glass plane and lands as drive. While the Trideron, controlled by Krim, who's been revived because of this, catches Kiriko, puts her in the car, and then beats the shit out of the Roid Mute that tied her up. I assume that's all Krim because he mentions that she's safe. Like, Krim's pissed. Because that Roid Mute got murdered. But at this point, Tamari shoots down Lupin so the two of them can fight. But then Chase shows up because he's like, I want a rematch. And I'm only going to help you this one time. Totally. I'm not foreshadowing things for later in Drive at all whatsoever.
Yeah, I love the point when he's like, I'm only helping you this time. I'm sitting there thinking, bull.
He says, as if you went to this movie, you got a copy of the Episode 0 DVD that showed him as Proto Drive. Yeah, no, totally, this won't be the last time you help him. But Lupin summons some Roid Mute blank clones. Chase ends up fighting them, takes them out. Tamari fights Lupin, gets caught in his film reel finisher, but him and Buckle break out of it with speed and max flare, and then just kick the shit out of Lupin. At one point, Tamari runs at him with the door gun, grabs hold of him, and keeps sliding as he's shooting him point blank. Tamari is pissed. Tamari wants this man dead. But they keep beating the shit out of Lupin. Eventually, Kiriko arrives and the Trideron and is just like, I want to help! And so the two of them do Tamari's rider kick, which I guess because of this scene, I guess the implication is that if Tamari's not in proper type speed, like if he's in any of the other tires, he can't use the Trideron for the rider kick. So that's why Kiriko has to like
disagree with that to a point.
Because Krim remote operates the Trideron all the time. Fair.
Meaning it really shouldn't matter what form he's in?
Right, but I love the idea that Kiriko, who's spinning the wheel more than she should to make this work,
yep,
is the one properly operating the Trideron for this.
Oh, don't get me wrong, I like it too, but it's a case of I'm like, I kind of want to call foul on that.
Yeah. But yeah, they blow up Lupin, and by the way, when Lupin defeated Drive earlier, he stole the name Kamen Rider, and now by this defeat, he gives the title back, which, fuck you, Tamari beat the shit out of you, he took that back himself. The hell you gave it back. He fucking beat the shit out of you, ripped it from your corpse, and kicked you to the fucking curb like you fucking deserve. Yeah, he takes out Lupin. This doesn't destroy the ZZZ body, it just makes Lupin leave. We'll get back to him here in a bit. But as Tamari and Kiriko are talking things out, that's when the copy of Megahex shows up, fuses with the Z body, gets his fancy new body for the crossover bit, and flies off, and Tamari gives chase. Which takes us finally to the crossover portion of this movie, as we cut back to the Gaim writers, who are currently dealing with a mob of Invest and Roid mutes. And this is when Tamari arrives. And Coach's first thing is like, you have a tire embedded in you. I love that's the first thing he notices about Tamari. Not the fact that he drove up in a fancy car. No, you have a tire stuck in you for some reason.
It's like, you know you've got a tire stuck, like, in you, right?
Uh-huh. But that's when he's like, I'm Kamen Rider Drive. I'm a civil servant. And Kota's like, well, I guess I'm a space god? And then Tamari's like, the fuck? And then, like, walks around him and just looks at him and is just like, fucking okay, sure.
Yeah, I love he's like, yeah, okay, I buy it. You're a space god.
And I love that this is just a thing about their relationship. Every other time they interact forever is just like, oh yeah, no, this guy's a god. And I have to think if anyone else is just like, really? And Tamari's like, oh yeah, kind of.
I mean, doesn't he look like a space god?
But yeah, Tamari teams up with them, fights some of the more goons, until Megahex shows up in his fancy new body and is just like, well, you're being a problematic. I'm going to try to summon another person. Therefore, he makes a robot clone of Kaito.
Which was worst mistake possible.
Yeah. You summoned the dead secondary rider. You done fucked up. So he's just like, hi, Kota. I see you're still you. He transforms and then immediately backhands the fuck out of Megahex. Like, the fuck you doing summoning me? You know I'm gonna whip your monkey ass. Did you not check his memories?
Apparently not. And by apparently not, I mean clearly not.
Mm-hmm. So now our 5 riders are together. They start taking on the goons in Megahex. or taking on the goons as Mega Hex leaves. Pretty much the rest of the Gaim Riders minus Kota open a path for Kota, and as they call him, the Red Warrior. And I love that Tamari's like, wait, me? Because I have to think he's just like, wait, do you mean me or the other guy that just joined our team? Because they're both red, technically.
Yeah. But no one said for Kota to take the banana.
Yeah. So, as the two of them are leading, Kota just slams the Kiwami Lock Seed a bunch of times, summons some weapons. So, Kaito gets the Shin Kurakage Spear. Michi gets the Muso Saber, which I assume is a reference to him getting it at the end of in the last episode. And I guess the Shin Kurakage Spear is a reference to, what was it? Peko becoming Shin Kurakage, who was a part of Team Baron. I guess that's what they were going for.
I guess I could see that.
Mm-hmm. And then Takatora gets the Melon Defender, which is like the best choice ever, and it's actually what I have on my shelf too. Is I have my Shinsengetsu with the Melon Defender and the Sonic Arrow, because that's a good fucking look.
Yeah. And it fits him.
Mm-hmm. So the two leave, and then Chase, Heart, and Brain show up because they're like, fuck this robot guy. We don't like him. We don't like what he's doing. We're gonna help you out. So the three of them start fighting the goons alongside the other riders. That's also them done for the movie, more or less. We don't get a fun team up of our three other main Gaim riders and 2/3 of the main villains of Drive. That's a shame. We should have got that fight scene.
Yeah.
But at this point, we cut to Tamari and Kota fighting Mega Hex. They get the better of him, but then Mega Hex is shown to have a healing factor that they have to outpace. And that's when Mai shows up and he's just like, hey guys, if you swap powers, you can beat him. And they're like, okay. So one of her powers, I guess, is just to make gimmick stuff happen. So she helps them make the Type Fruit shift car and the Drive Lock Seed so that they can take each other's weapons and have each other's forms. So the two of them more or less comedy routine Mega Hex to death because they are just having fun at this point. Because Tamari's like, hey, turn the wheel on the steering sword. And it just sends Kota all over the place until he hits Mega Hex. And then Tamari just does a little samurai dance. I love they're just comedy bitting their way through this. Because it's like, no, we've beat this villain, what, twice already? Like, look, we're going to beat him. It's just a matter of time.
Might as well have fun and look good doing it.
Yeah. So they blow him up, but then Portal in the Sky, that's the Mega Hex planet. We gotta go blow up more or less the Death Star. So
Yes.
We're like, okay, how do we get there? Because it's in space. And that's when the Trideron shows up. They slam in the Type Fruits shift car, and it becomes the DeLorean because it gets, space wheels. So then it's space proof. It's space travel proof. And the two of them are like, all right, we're going to space. They try to get into the car. They can't fit because of the big, stupid armors they have on. And they're like, we gotta go to our base forms. So then they go to their base forms. And then they get in the car. And then Kota's all ready to go. And then Tamari's like, Kota, put on your seatbelts. And he's like, oh, right, seatbelts. And I love that it looks like he can't actually do it because he can't really move. Because of the armor.
And I feel like that's intentional.
Yeah, so they have to jump cut to the seatbelts already installed as Mega Hexes show up in the background. So they go to fly off. Kaito shows up to take out the Mega Hexes that are chasing them. So we cut to them in space. They're being pursued by big Batroid new car thing. As they make essentially the trench run they make it through, squirting some juice in the bat's eyes because, it's type fruits installed. Therefore, the wheels are can expel juice. Because it can. And I love how much the entire time I love how much the entire time of this trench run, the two of them are just bickering and just going back and forth. I love it. I love this so much. So they're going through the trench run. They're about to get squished. And I love that Tamari just spouts out a name of a rider kick to be like, we're doing this thing, and just pulls the ejection cord on the Trideron to eject them out so they can rider kick the monster. So they do that. The Trideron also helps push it in. It gets slammed into the planet. Planet goes boom. They escape back through the portal. Day is saved because all the robots go offline. And I forgot about this till it happened, and I cracked up. So all the robots go offline, and they just kind of like stand there. So Chase, Heart, and Brain leave. And one of Heart's shoulder pads bops into one of the robots' heads. And they even put in an audible clunk noise as it happens. So I don't know if this is intentional or they filmed this and went, no, keep it. We'll put in the clank sound effect in post.
I mean, yes.
But we also cut to Kaito, who's froze up, and then his body collapses, which I don't know if that's supposed to mean something or not. I don't know if this is their way of being like, hey, Kaito can come back in other things now because we have Robot Kaito existing, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. But anyway, we wrap up. Kota and Mai use, I guess, the new old tree that connects to their Helheim forest to go back without telling anyone. But the rest of the Gaim riders are just like, hey, spend the afternoon with us before you go back home. And they're like, all right, sure. So they go spend the afternoon before they head back. Which, actually, no, before that, Kota and Tamari park nearby where the spaceship explodes and like trade compliments and shake hands and then part ways, which was kind of cool. Because, like, we don't get the riders shaking hands anymore. I think this is, like, the only time I can think of that's happened.
I think you're right.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the Kota and Mai thing happened. And then we check in with Tamari and Buckle as they kind of, like, decompress when a viral core shows up. And it's Lupin, who's like, I stole a viral core, and I'm going to be around again. And I'll duel you once more. By the way, I technically stole your girlfriend's smile. I guess. Bye. And Tamari's like, she's cranky anyway. She's cranky all the time. You didn't really steal it. And that's when Kiriko shows up. And it's just like, Tamari, the fuck did you just say? And then she chases him around and we end on him tripping. And that's the movie. So, how'd you feel about Furit Throttle?
It was as good as I remember it.
Yeah.
It's one of those, much like what I said at the beginning. I get people getting tired of the 3-part setup like we've got, and would much rather it just be all one movie.
Yeah.
But you can have good with it. It's not a case of it has to be all one movie or a 3-parter to be good or bad kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Is this one perfect? No. There's a few things that could have been tweaked and it could have been perfect though.
Yeah.
But yeah, not a bad one at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It reminds me of all the good things I like about Gaim and Drive, especially Drive. But the scene I find funny now, in like hindsight, from where we are. So the scene with Chase, Heart, and Brain showing up to help, and they're like, "We're only gonna help you this once," which is hilarious because all three of them will eventually become riders.
And it's hilarious because all three of them do help again.
Because, you know, Chase was originally Prototype, then he becomes Kamen Rider Chase in the series. Brain becomes, or no, Heart becomes a writer in a V Cinema. And then Brain specifically makes a joke about it becoming a writer next. And then he gets to be technically the final Heisei writer introduced.
And on top of that, the whole helping them out once is a lie because during the Bono stuff, they both wound up helping.
Granted. And also, in the Brain special, it's confirmed that Go's trying to revive Heart, Brain, Medic, who doesn't appear in this movie because she's not on the show yet, and Chase, and also let them all be writers. Which means at some point we should get a Medic special. So let her become a writer. No, she makes the same joke Brain made in the special about being a writer next. Rule of 3 says she must become a writer now.
Except maybe.
I know. They'll never follow up on it.
Nope.
But you made 2/3 of the main Roid Mutes writers in Drive. You need to make Medic the third one as well. Which, speaking of people who should be writers. Kiriko, hi, how you doing? So, it probably goes without saying, because people talk about this all the time, of how much Kiriko has all the things that, you know, should make a writer, but she never got to be a writer. Which I find is dumb because they have the exact thing to let her become a writer in the show, but they only use it as a gag for both June and in the final Drive stage show, Genpachiro. You know, that mass-produced mock driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, guess what? Who should have got that in the finale of the show and got to fight alongside Go against Bono? Guess who also should just get that in general and just get her own signal bites and stuff just for herself?
And see, that's the thing too. Isn't that the big difference between the drive system and the signal bike system? Is the fact that it doesn't have the steep MacGuffin, for lack of a better term, because we never really find out exactly why she couldn't be drive.
Yeah, like, I guess, like, I think technically all you need is a signal bike made for you, because Chase had to have like a piece of his old Machine Chaser armor to be turned into the Signal Chaser bike for him to become Kamen Rider Chase. And that was it.
Meaning that it should have been possible.
Yeah.
Like, I get in Gaim's case, it really wouldn't have made sense for Mai to be a rider because of the fact of how everything was set up. Right. But why couldn't we have gotten something post-series?
I mean, I have the exact scenario in my head of just like how that breaks down, because you know how Michi's trying to keep atoning for stuff? And, you know, how I think he also has an understanding of like all the Sengoku driver tech, I think. Or at least he probably would by working with Takatora. What if he makes Mai a Sengoku driver and is just like, hey Mai, sorry about all the shit I put you through. Here's a belt. And also, you know, there's a fruit that perfectly encapsulates Mai's entire character arc for the entirety of the series. That's actually not used by Gaim in any form. Would you like to take a guess?
What?
Olives. because Olive branches, a universal sign of peace. She was always trying to make peace amongst all the different beat writers and stuff, and trying to get everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
It makes too much. I think so. I was just like, oh no, she doesn't need to be a writer. But I'm like, I mean, true. But also, she's literally a goddess now.
In series, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Post series, yeah, why haven't we? Even if we gave her a true Overlord form.
Mm-hmm.
Because, let's be honest, what's deemed as her Overlord form is not actually that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just all there is to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those, it would have been nice to have done something kind of deal.
Mm-hmm. Also, I will bring this up because while we only got 2 pairs of V Cinemas, there was still a poll included in the second V Cinema about a third V Cinema, and there was supposed to be a guy, and in that list was a Gaim V Cinema. Now, that doesn't make sense offhand, doesn't it?
No, not really.
Why would we get a Gaim V Cinema? What could you tell with a Gaim V Cinema? Especially since you're supposed to introduce, a new rider in a new form, considering all the others. I wonder who you could make a new rider in that one. I wonder who you could give a new form to. I mean, literally, if you wanted to backdoor Mai into getting a rider form, there it was there. Mm-hmm. Possibly, if they thought if there was ever a plan, it was right there. Because I don't think because Gaim doesn't need a new form.
Yeah, I mean, he can't have a new form technically.
Yeah.
I mean, Kiwami's kind of as far as he can go.
I mean, I thought of
unless we do something stupid like a gold Kiwami arms or something like that.
Yeah.
But at that point, why?
Granted, I'm trying to turn the second Kiwami Soto figure I got into eventually a rider version of Kiwami, since all the rider lock seeds existing. But that's more like a side upgrade than anything. It also doesn't help that all of Gaim's movie forms are all rider form based. Dumb, I know, but it's something to give Gaim an extra final form to go alongside like Gold Extreme and Super Tatoba and all that. Something special for the one time.
I mean, fair.
It's a special one-time use kind of thing. It's one of
those, as far as a new form kind of concept, there's not really anything.
Yeah.
About the only thing you could do is the one-off that really doesn't do anything additional.
Yeah. So yeah. Make Mai and Kiriko riders. Do it, you cowards. I'm calling you out, Toei. Even though you'll never hear this ever. Do it. I dare you. Fucking make it a weird, like, one-off crossover special, because you keep doing those little, like Tokusatsu Fan Club, Tesla specials. Fucking get Mai and Kiriko's actresses back to go be writers together for something weird and dumb. I don't know. I'm just spitballing dumb ideas at this point. But yeah, that's everything, I guess. I can't think of anything else that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I can't really think of nothing else either.
So yeah, next week. I need to pull up the list to make sure I say the correct one. Because we are technically skipping the next one in chronology, because the next one would be Drive Ghost, but we've already talked about that because of talking about all of Ghost.
Yeah, that continuity mess.
And then we talked about the one after that because we talked about the Heisei Generations when we talked about Ghost again.
Uh-huh.
So we are technically skipping 2 movies. Ah, God. I think I've destroyed my voice. I've destroyed my throat. One second. I need to take a swig of water real quick. I've also been around sawdust and dust and stuff all day, so that probably doesn't help.
Yeah, not at all.
So we are skipping 2 movies and skipping directly to the second of the 3 Heisei Generations films, Heisei Generation Final. Stupid, I know, but roll with it. Which is Xaid and Build's crossover. And I guess the finale of the Foundation X stuff for the Heisei Phase 2, I guess, since it's the last thing at this point to have Foundation X, and it wouldn't feel right to bring Foundation X into the Rara era? Question mark?
Except we accidentally did. Just not in movies.
I don't remember.
I mean, Memory of Heroes.
Oh yeah, fuck, you're right. Oops. I forgot about that. Right, Memory of Heroes.
When you said,
right.
when you said that, I'm like, wait a
minute.
minute. We might have actually did that then, unintentionally.
Okay, solely in the Rara era without anyone from Phase 2 to be there, I guess. Like, we can't have, like, the 5th anniversary of the Rara era be Foundation X as the villains if nobody from Phase 2 shows up.
I mean, I guess technically you probably still could.
Yeah.
I mean, look how many times Shocker kept getting thrown in.
Fair enough. But yeah, we're talking Heisei Generations Final next week. But between now and then, Thursday, I'm doing more Jade Empire. Friday, we're doing Overcooked Survival Mode, or Overcooked 2 Survival Mode, plus something else probably. And Saturday will be Siege.
Yes. I was like, I remembered saying it yesterday. I forgot what I said now.
So if you like what you're seeing, drop a follow. Really appreciate it. Chipping away at that Philly goal. @TGZone on Twitter gets you updates when we're live. Next mention point Discord and chat gets Discord link. Drop by, say hi. See you Thursday, folks.